Take off the red BALISIER TUTU, Pearce. The tariff facts expose you. An editorial by Professor Wall Street. Pearce Robinson has a habit. He finds a headline, strips out every fact that complicates his politics, and serves the country the remainder as though it were the whole truth. His latest Facebook missive, Trump imposes tariffs on Kamala and says her government has failed to enforce protection, is the purest example yet. Robinson wants you to read the word tariff, attach it to Kamala Persad-Bissessar and stop thinking. But the public record of the Section 301 forced labor determination tells a story he conveniently left out. Trinidad and Tobago was one of only 5 economies on earth, out of 60, whose tariff was actually negotiated down, from a proposed 12.5% to a final 10%. That is not failure. That is one of the better outcomes in the entire hemisphere. Robinson leaned on the Reuters' failure to enforce angle and said nothing about the reduction. So let us be plain about what he is. He is not a commentator. He is a P&M propagandist in a red BALISIER tutu, and here are 10 reasons why Pearce Robinson needs to take it off and speak truth to power instead. 1. He left out the single most important fact in the whole story. The public record of this determination states it in black and white. 5 economies, Honduras, India, Sri Lanka, Trinidad and Tobago, and Jordan, saw their final tariff rate reduced from the proposed 12.5% down to 10% following negotiations with the Trump administration. Trinidad and Tobago is on that short list of winners. Robinson wrote an entire post pretending the reduction never happened. On a subject this consequential, an omission that large is not an oversight. It is a choice. 2. He reframed a negotiated win as a humiliating failure. Robinson's headline screams that Kamala's government failed to enforce protections, but the published rate schedule shows Trinidad and Tobago moving from a 15% IEEPA rate to a proposed 12.5% to a final 10% marked with a downward arrow. The same downward arrow reserved for the 5 countries that successfully negotiated. Being one of 5 out of 60 to secure a reduction is the opposite of failure. Robinson inverted the story because the truth did not suit the tutu. 3. He cherry-picked the one angle that wounds Kamala. Notice the sleight of hand. Robinson leans on the Reuters framing about failure to enforce while saying nothing about the detailed determination that shows the reduction was earned through negotiation. He amplifies the line that sounds bad for Kamala and stays silent on the record that proves the government performed well. A truth teller gives you both. A propagandist gives you only the half that hurts his opponent. 4. He treats a global 60-country action as a personal Kamala scandal. This Section 301 forced labor determination hits 60 trading partners at once and covers 99.4% of U.S. imports. It is a sweeping American trade policy, not a punishment aimed at Trinidad and Tobago specifically. Robinson strips away that entire context so he can pin a worldwide tariff regime on one woman's name in his headline that is dishonest by design. 5. He never mentions that most countries did worse than us. Look at the published rate schedule. Australia, Chile, Colombia, Egypt, Israel, Guyana, Nigeria, South Africa, Vietnam, Thailand. Dozens of nations landed at 12.5%. Trinidad and Tobago landed at 10%. We outperformed the majority of the 60. A commentator interested in the truth would tell citizens their country fared better than most. Robinson tells them the opposite because his loyalty is to the BALISIER, not to the facts. 6. He credits Washington's accusation and dismisses Port of Spain's achievement. Robinson eagerly amplifies the U.S. claim that Trinidad and Tobago failed to enforce its forced labor prohibition, but says nothing about the fact that Trinidad and Tobago was credited with imposing forced labor import prohibitions, which is precisely why the rate was cut to 10%. He believes the accusation and ignores the compliance. That is not analysis, that is prosecution. 7. He mistakes who pays the tariff to score a cheap point. Robinson's own post concedes the duty is generally payable by the American importer. Yet his framing invites readers to feel that Kamla personally brought a penalty down on their heads. He blurs the economics to sharpen the politics. A responsible commentator explains how tariffs actually work. A propagandist leaves the confusion in place because the confusion helps his side. 8. His outrage is switched on and off by party color. Ask yourself the honest question. Had a PNM government negotiated Trinidad and Tobago into the top 5 out of 60 countries, would Robinson have called it failure? He would have thrown a parade? The exact same outcome becomes a scandal only because Kamla's name is attached. His standard is not principle. It is partisanship with a costume on. 9. His problem above all is the size of his own ego. Pearce Robinson genuinely believes he is the brightest bulb in the box. Picture the box, 12 bulbs, 11 rated at 50 watts, and Pearce convinced he alone is the 1,000 watt. It is that conviction that he is too clever to be questioned and too brilliant to be wrong that lets him look at a negotiated victory and see only what his vanity needs to see. A man who thinks that highly of himself never checks his own work because in his mind it was flawless the moment he wrote it. That is exactly how a 1,000 watt ego produces 50 watt commentary. 10. He counts on you not checking the public record. Robinson's entire method depends on the assumption that his followers will read his angry summary and never look up the actual determination. But the record is publicly available, and it refutes him line by line. A man who bets that the public won't verify his claim is not informing anyone. He is gambling on their trust. Check the record. His story falls apart instantly. In conclusion, he has forfeited the benefit of the doubt on everything else. When a writer is caught burying the decisive fact in a single post, every other post he has written against the Kamla-led UNC government must be read in that light. If he shaded the tariff story this badly, what has he shaded before? This is why his anti-government output should be taken with a generous pinch of red BALISIER salt. Once the tutu is exposed, you cannot unsee it in everything he writes. So here is the challenge, plainly stated. The truth was there for the taking, that Trinidad and Tobago was one of only 5 nations out of 60 to negotiate its tariff down from 12.5% to 10%, a result most of the world did not achieve. And Robinson chose to leave it out so he could brand a negotiated success as a national embarrassment. That is the conduct of a party operative, not a commentator. Speaking truth to power means telling citizens the good with the bad, whichever government is in office. It means citing the whole source, not the convenient sentence. It means letting the facts land where they fall, even when they land in Kamla Persad-Bissessa's favor. But Robinson cannot do that because Robinson is convinced Robinson is never wrong. This is a man who believes he is the only 1,000 watt bulb in a box of 1150 watt bulbs, and who, if the rumors of his self-regard are to be believed, is quite sure that when he sits on the toilet, he produces perfume and flowers. When a man's opinion of himself is that inflated, no fact can reach him because he has already decided that whatever he thinks must be the truth.
That is why he could look at a genuine national achievement and see only failure. His vanity got there before the evidence did. Take off the red
BALISIER TUTU, Pearce. Climb down off the 1,000-watt pedestal. Come clean about the tariff you left out. And until you can tell the whole truth, perfume, flowers, ego and all, the whole country is entitled to read everything you write with a heavy pinch of red BALISIER salt. Pearce continues to do the bidding of the PNM, and in the words of PNM Chairman Marvelous Marvin Gonzalez, every PNM is a propagandist of the PNM.